Hello, everyone, and welcome to Film Frauds. This is episode 2 of our podcast. And this week, we just talk about some Furiosa prequel news and then what basically we're watching for the week. And then we kind of spiral into discussions and banters about that. But yeah, this episode's a little bit on the longer side. It's about 55-ish or so minutes around there. Hopefully, we'll have some episodes that might go longer, some episodes that might go shorter. But right now, mainly because we're out of movie news and stuff like that. We just kind of are talking about what we watched and then banter about that. But we have an idea for episode 3, which we talk about at the end of this episode. So if you're curious about what is going to happen in episode 3, then watch until the end. But yeah, this one's a pretty good one. And also, my audio's a little funky. Matt's is solid. Matt's is pretty good, but mine is again rather funky. We're still figuring out this audio stuff, and by we, I mean me, because Matt doesn't do any technical stuff. But yeah, so that's the episode. Enjoy, guys.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the most must-listen to podcast on YouTube. Welcome to
Film Frauds.
That's
Film
right,
Frauds podcast.
yes, the best podcast ever.
Movie hacks.
Speaking right now is one half hosting team and the personality of the group. My name is Matt, and across from me on our laptop, because there's social distancing, is Tyler. Say hi, Tyler.
I'm the technical guy, but I have no technical skills, so I really bring nothing to this.
His technical skills are just what iMovie offers him. And even that, it's like the base iMovie.
I was
options.
Googling stuff. I was like, how do I do transition on iMovie? And there's a big button at the top of iMovie that says transitions. And I was like, oh.
Can't figure it out.
The YouTube video was like 7 seconds. It was just a mouse clicking up. And I was like, damn it.
Yes. So in this current environment, there's not a whole lot of movie news going on. But the most important movie news did occur yesterday, and that revolves around Mad Max, the Furiosa sequel or prequel, as what it's going to be, and
is it going to be a prequel?
Yeah, it's a Furiosa prequel. That's what George Miller has confirmed, and because he wants to make another Furiosa movie, and this one will not have Charlize Theron in it, though. It will have another great actress, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Great. Is she confirmed for it, or is that kind of the speculation?
I know, it's highly speculated. I think George Miller has maybe said that he is interested in having her as playing the younger Furiosa, which I'm all down for. I don't know. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I mean, she's some of my favorite movies that have come. Well, not some of my favorite, but one of my favorite horror movies, The Witch.
Yeah.
She's the best part of The Witch, and she's really, really great in Split. She's great in Split 2. She's great.
Yeah.
She's basically great in everything she's done.
That other movie.
The horse one? That's named after Thoroughbreds.
Thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
Thoroughbreds. Horse is not the only thing that can be thoroughbreds, I think.
Are they? No, but that's typically.
I think dogs can.
But it's typically tied with horses, though, is it not?
Yeah.
See.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. I don't know. Do you think did Charlize Theron have a great not because Furiosa it's an action movie. Mad Max Fury Road's an action movie. But do we really think that she could kind of sell there? I don't know.
It's interesting because she doesn't look like Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't look like she could be an action movie star.
Yeah.
But I think that because in The Witch, somewhat spoilers for The Witch, yeah. She's able to channel her dark side very well in what happens in that movie, and it's very believable. Yep. So I'd be interested because she does show that she has range. So I'm not going to dismiss it off initially because I like her a lot as an actress, and she looks young, but I'm optimistic that she could probably pull it off because she does show in The Witch that she has a dark side about it. She can pull off a convincing dark side. Yeah. Not really an action movie per se, dark side in that movie, but it does show that she does have range other than innocent looking younger girl.
Yeah, Split, I think does fall into that innocent looking younger girl, but her good performance comes from the emotion of it. I think I actually read this yesterday, but I think the more important news out of all of this with Mad Max, the Furiosa prequel, is the cinematographer's coming back. I don't know.
Oh, really?
And he came out of retirement for Mad Max Fury Road, and then he's like, I'm done. And then George Miller's probably please. And he's like, I'll do it again. Yeah. So this movie's going to look amazing. It's going to look amazing.
Yes.
This movie's going to be great. Look amazing, at least. I don't know. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is an interesting cast, but I also think she probably falls in that same reign of like, ooh, could Charlize Theron do it?
That's the
Like,
thing is, George Miller said he was considering hiring her again because of digital de-aging effects, but he said that he says that he's not comfortable using that kind of equipment yet because he doesn't think it's up to date with how like real he wants it to look. He says he likes The Irishman, but he says that the uncanny valley effect is still present. He does
yeah,
not want that in his movie. So I'm all for it because like I'm not really big into digital de-aging. Like I'd prefer hiring actors and actresses
yeah.
who can just play the younger version of that character. So
What's the
I'm
best? What's the best case of digital de aging we've seen? Is it The Irishman? I mean, you could.
probably The Irishman.
I
It
think.
was it looked okay in Blade Runner 2049. It looked all
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Um,
I would say honestly, and this just might be because of how much money the studio has, but Sam Jackson and Captain Marvel looked
yeah,
really good.
I haven't seen Captain Marvel, so
Yeah, you
I
know,
did,
doesn't
but I've
much.
seen the trailer, so like yeah, it does look good.
Yeah. Well, that's also because. Well, that's a very good point because Mad Max Fury Road made money, but
Yeah,
didn't make a ton of money, and I think that was the big holdup for the sequel, right?
yeah. No, the big holdup was that George Miller went way over budget and didn't tell the Warner Bros. Execs, and like they were disputing over like the finances of it for a long time. Like they were literally up to last year still like in court trying to figure it out, and
Jeez.
they've come to terms. And the movie is interesting because it did all right. Box, like you said, it made an all right amount of money. I don't know.
I'll
I'm
find
pretty
out.
sure it at least made its money back, but it garnered so much fame and
Yep.
acclaim after its release, especially with like Oscar nominees and awards, that it became more successful later on. So I think that they're optimistic that the sequel,
Like the sequel will kind of. Well, the
now
thing
knowing
is,
that Fury
like,
Road was so successful, that the sequel will make more money.
well, that's probably a big reason why not only is it digital de aging, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to look up the budget right. It looks like the budget was around 150 to 185 million.
Yeah,
It made a little under 400 million. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know. That's maybe a big reason why there's no digital de aging. Is it's I'm pretty sure that costs a ton of money to do.
yeah. It'd also be difficult to do with all of the like the because they like to shoot on location and there's a ton
Yeah.
of stunts. So can you imagine trying to like digitally de-age Charlize Theron while she's driving a car in the middle of the desert and having to go back and like doing that stuff up? And I don't know anything about the technology side of it, but I'd imagine it'd be very difficult. Other than like a Star Wars movie where a lot of it's done on set and there's not a lot of action going on in the shots, so it probably would be more easy when the characters are standing still.
See, I don't like this. Might just be me. I'm not really like. I would rather have seen a progression of the world rather than going back
Yeah,
because I would have loved to see. Well, one, Tom Hardy is one of my favorite actors. Love Tom
yeah,
Hardy. I would have loved to just see him continue back. But I also feel like because we've seen Mad Max Fury Road, and I know the whole world is an apocalyptic wasteland, but also technology again moves backwards. So
yeah,
everything we see in that movie, they can't, or at least in the prequel, they can't exceed the technology, and I put technology in air quotes, of Mad Max Fury Road. So the spectacle might be toned down, which might be better. But I mean, these Mad Max Fury Roads are definitely spectacle driven with the characters
yeah.
kind of elevating the spectacle rather than the spectacle elevating the characters. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see. Like, I would have much rather seen just Mad Max go on another adventure and encounter someone else and kind of do that
Yeah.
than go
Um,
trek backwards.
there's not a whole lot like there's not a lot like a whole lot of technological advances in Fury Road. It's just a bunch of like crazy engineer, um, like
Well, that's the
Frankenstein
argument
monsters of
is
trucks and stuff.
if
Like
you
it's not.
but you can't go like you can't have the stuff in Furiosa be even more like crazy because they're like, well, why did they tone it down for
Yeah,
Fury?
maybe they could say like, oh, it's like a more advanced community, like that
Yeah.
she's engaged with. But I was also kind of disappointed when I heard that it was going to be a Furious prequel because, like you, I would like to see more of Tom Hardy as Mad Max.
Mhm.
But I mean, George Miller wants to write this story, and he's one of my favorite directors working today because of Mad Max Fury Road. It's probably my favorite movie. It is my favorite movie of the last decade, and one of my favorite movies of all time. So like, I have complete faith that it'll be a good movie. I imagine some of the tension in the movie it'll be lacking some of the tension that Fury Road has because Furiosa is going to be okay.
Oh, that's
in the
right. I couldn't even
prequel,
think about
whereas
that.
in
Yeah.
Fury Road, you don't know if Furiosa is going to be okay because she's not the main character.
Yeah.
She is the main character, but like she's not Mad Max, so you don't know if she's going to be safe or not. And
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm excited to see her past because they allude to it in Fury Road with like the green place and everything, and
Yep.
it'd be interesting. You know, it's another Mad Max movie, and you know George Miller's very passionate about it. And let's be honest, it's not really the story of Mad Max. Like the Mad
Yeah.
Max stories are never really that interesting. It's more of the atmosphere and the stunts and the action. So you know, I'll see it. I'll definitely see it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm yeah. We'll definitely. If the Corona stuff is over, we'll be the first one lined up to go
Yeah.
through Mad Max. I don't
I'll
know.
get sick for it. I don't care.
What other movies has George Miller directed? Is he
Babe,
just
Babe, Two Pigs in the City.
he directed Babe?
Yeah.
Who directed Happy
Penguins. Penguins Matic. Penguins Matic.
Happy he didn't he direct
Happy
Happy
Feet.
Feet?
Yeah, Happy
Yeah, I
Feet.
was about to,
And
didn't he say like I'm pretty sure there's something on like on the Wikipedia where it's like if you put a gun to my head or if it was
he said,
either
"I'll kill myself before I make another Happy
yeah,
Feet movie or something."
it's like write a script to Happy Feet 2 or like I'll shoot you, just pull the
Yeah.
trigger.
He
Yeah.
has a movie that's coming out soon with like what's that guy's name?
I mean, I can't read your mind. I don't know.
Yeah,
What does he look like?
he's Cats.
He's
He's the bad guy in Cats.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I have seen Cats. I want to
see,
confirm
like, I had a lot of good movies that he's in. Like, I was like, oh, The Wire, like other stuff. I was like, oh, it's hard to seen any of that. So
Hey,
that's the one he's seen. Oh,
you should have said Star Trek Beyond.
True, yeah. Star Trek Beyond, he's in that.
One day I'll watch The Wire. I won't.
He has a movie with Idris Elba starring in it. It's coming out. I think it's finishing production now, and it'll probably be coming out next year or something. I don't know anything about it, but
Did you hear that some movies in September are already being pushed back?
I saw that Wonder Woman was pushed back.
But like
that was like a
September,
July movie.
September though, a movie that is
Yeah.
already, I'm pretty sure, got pushed to September is getting pushed back even further. I'm really curious to see when the next time we go. Well, the one movie that hasn't moved is Tenet. Tenet's the only summer movie left in July.
Oh, that's the Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's been no reports about it moving. Kind of, will you go get sick to see Tenet?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like Christopher Nolan, but I'm not crazy about him.
that might be like a be a wait until it's online.
I mean, I like Chris Nolan movies, but I don't think it'd be worth. Like, it's not like George Miller for me because I love Fury Road. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I don't think other than The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan doesn't have like the best movies ever for me.
The next podcast, we should have a top 10 directors we'd risk getting Corona for to go see.
That would get views. That would get views.
I like how we're debating. We're like, would you get sick to see that movie?
Let's see,
no.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah. Denis Villeneuve. Let's go see
Villeneuve.
Dune.
George Miller.
Michael Bay.
Yes, of course. Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Brett Ratner.
Yeah, Brett Ratner.
Brett Ratner.
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. Bryan Singer.
No, not Bryan Singer. I'm not going along with that one.
All right, Matt. What did you watch this week?
So I watched a horror movie called The Black Coat's Daughter. It's on Netflix. Came out a couple of years ago, and it stars Emma Thompson. And I heard this movie was really good.
Emma Thompson?
No, Emma Roberts.
Okay.
Yeah, Emma Thompson's really old. Emma Roberts is.
She's not old. Therefore,
old.
she has value.
I didn't say that. I'm saying it's a high school movie. So.
Okay.
Emma Thompson was in it. That's the point I was trying to make.
So Emma Roberts in it.
Emma Roberts but other actresses, so I don't know. And it's about these two girls that go to this boarding school academy, and like some spring break is happening, so all the kids are leaving, but neither of them have their parents that can't pick them up. So they're like, "Oh, I got to stay here for the break." And then there's Satan occultist stuff happening, and it gets really weird. And it's really scary. And I finished the movie, and I walked around my house, and a wrapper fell off my counter onto the floor, and I jumped. This movie is definitely better off with you just not knowing anything about as little about it as possible. It is probably one of the best horror movies. It's definitely so. There are really two types of horror movies now, and it's like it is the blockbuster It or Annabelle movies where it's 2.5 hours long and nothing happens except for loud jump scares. and then there's like the hour and a half like made on $1 million budget where nothing really happens in the first hour and 20 minutes, and then everything goes crazy in the last 10 minutes. And kind of like The Witch would be another example of that,
Yep.
or sort of like The Guest a bit, or that deaf person movie.
Hush.
Hush, yeah,
Hush is
like
great. Yeah.
low budget movies. It's definitely akin to that, but I'd say like this Black Widow Daughter definitely really got under my skin. And it was thoroughly scary, and it stuck with me for a while. And if you like those kind of slower burn horror movies, I think this would be perfect for anyone to watch.
My only question about it is really how is Emma Roberts in the movie? 'Cause she's primarily known as like the pretty crappy teen kind of movies, like Nerve. She's in Scream 4. She's in The Hunt. She's in Hotel for Dogs. Like
Yeah,
she's like
she's
that.
in
Is she?
that movie where like they do dares on the internet and
That's
stuff.
that's Nerve.
Nerve, yeah.
Yeah.
She's good in it. Like she's not amazing. The other girl who's kind of the lead is really good in it. And
Oh,
like
Emma Roberts isn't the lead.
she's one of like 3 leads, but like there's
Okay.
one girl that's definitely like the protagonist, I guess. And I can't think of what her name is, but she's really good in it. But like the 2 other girls who are also the leads, kind of, are better than Emma Roberts, I would say.
See, so
But
this
Emma
guy,
Roberts isn't bad. She's just not as good as the other 2.
who has the director of that movie made anything else? Do you know?
Wait,
Or
can you pause it because Murphy's barking? I have to
okay,
let him out.
Matt's dog is barking. Hold
Yeah.
on, and we're back. Matt had to let his dog out, and he'll have to let it back in eventually. But yeah, Black Oak Star. I don't know. Does that movie kind of fall into the? Or you just said that, but how does it compare to something like The Witch? Well, when did the movie come out?
2015, I
2015.
think.
So the same year as
Um,
The Witch.
yes, I would say that like The Witch is better written and is a little more satisfying as like a narrative. Like I feel like the narrative of Thomason in The Witch is so good.
Yep.
It's very fitting of the character, and it's kind of empowering in a way. Whereas in The Black Coat's Daughter, it's more of just like awfulness. Like nothing really happy happens in it. Like you can kind
Excellent.
of look at The Witch and be like, oh well, you kind of like came into your own sort of in a way. But it's like in the Black Coat's Daughter, it's just like it's more grounded, I would say. Like you don't really know if
Okay.
supernatural things are happening. Whereas in The Witch, like the first 10 minutes, she's eating a baby. The witch is eating a baby.
That's not even the first 10 minutes. That's like the first, that's like the third shot in the movie.
Yeah, so it's not even a spoiler because it
Yeah.
happens so early on. But I'd say like The Witch is a better written film. But The Black Coat's Daughter definitely has that same vibe where it's a smaller budget movie. It's A24 movie as well.
Oh, is okay.
And yeah, I just think if you like horror movies, this one really, I like those smaller budget horror films, and this one was very good. Like I remember like The Ritual came out as well on Netflix.
The Ritual's a solid horror movie.
It's okay, like it's all right. I didn't think it was that.
I think The Ritual is that perfect kind of blockbuster, but smaller. Like I feel like it is a really good bridge the gap of the 2 movies you had, where it has really really solid character, but also then can definitely falls into the trope of the jump scare, but then has really great atmosphere. It's a weird blend. I like The Ritual a lot.
Yeah,
so
it's good. I just like I wasn't really like I like the thing about like The Witch and the Black Coat's Daughters. Like they're so confined, and that makes it so interesting to me. And I like those confined space movies where it's like you're like, oh, just break out of there, and it's like you can't. And I would say this movie is a little more disturbing than The Witch. Like I think The Witch is a better movie, but I think The Black Coat's Daughter definitely got under my skin more.
Okay, I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah, and it's super short. I think I only like horror movies now because they're like the shortest films, the shortest movie film genre.
They're an hour and 28 minutes.
They're an hour. You just watch it, you get everything you need, and you're done. You can do something else after.
Oh, all right, Black Coat Star. All right.
Yes.
So this is an unusual week for me, where I don't typically watch 5 movies in a week. It's usually closer to like 2 or 3, but I was bored. I watched 5. I can go down the list. Last week I talked about the Indiana Jones movies, and I finished it. I watched The Last Crusade and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I also watched Patriots game with Harrison Ford. I watched Tremors, and then I watched Escape from New York. I went on a definite 80s and 90s hot guy streak. Kevin Bacon in Tremors, super hot. Just throwing that out there. He's got like the mullet. He's great. But I figured we could talk about 2 of those movies. We could talk about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Have you seen Last Crusade?
Yes, that's the one I know the least though out of all the Indiana Jones movies.
I have a question about the Indiana Jones movies, and then And then we could talk about Escape from New York because that's a really interesting movie to talk about. Because
Yeah,
Escape
I
from
would
New
say
York
so.
is not the greatest, but it's kind of good at the same time. It's
Yeah,
boring,
we can
but it's
talk about
good.
it. You want to talk about Indiana Jones first?
All right, yeah. First, do you have a favorite Indiana Jones movie out of the four?
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. So do I. Our friend
Yeah.
Alex is not a big fan of Temple of Doom.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well, he's wrong.
he's wrong, Alex. I think my point after watching all four is that Temple of Doom's my favorite, but Last Crusade is the best movie out of the bunch.
Okay.
Temp. I'm gonna compare Indiana Jones to the Star Wars 7, 8, 9 real quick because Raiders of Lost Ark is like Force Awakens, where it's introducing a character in a new world. It plays it very safe. Temple of Doom goes batshit insane. It's just such
Yeah.
a different kind of movie. And then Last Crusade feels like an intense course correction, where they're going, okay, let's bring it back to the characters. Indiana Jones is not a mass murderer, even though he kind of is. At the beginning of Last Crusade, he like kicks some guy out to sea. It just blows up a boat, killing
Yeah.
like 15 more. It's great. Killer of the Crystal Skull is weird. Everything that's been set up.
You want to defend the movie because we were talking about this earlier. You think it's not a bad movie?
I think if I was going to give it movies that the Indiana Jones movies out of 5 stars, it would go
Yeah.
Last Crusade out of 5, Temple of Doom out of 5. You have Raiders at like a 4.5, 4,
Yep.
and then you have King of Crystal. I think it's like a solid 3 out of 5. I think it's a fine movie. I think it's a fine Indiana Jones movie. It is. It has really solid character moments. It has really solid character beats with Indiana Jones. It definitely falls into that whole Disney nostalgia trend. And there's times in that movie where Harrison Ford is so clearly like 65 years old, and I'm not talking about the nuke the fridge scene, but where he's just like getting like thrown. And there's a scene where he fights the muscle at the beginning where he falls through glass and then falls 15 feet and then keeps going. I like hurt myself standing out of bed sometimes. It's absurd, and I honestly think that might be like I don't really like Shia LaBeouf. Clearly, is not a good like substitute early to take over Indiana Jones. Like
I
they
thought
were
he was
probably
fine in the movie though.
he's fine, but like his
Yeah.
clearly his character is not. But I think the hardest part is the fact
His
that
name Mutt.
his name is Mutt, and
Yeah.
then Indiana Jones like Mutt. Like that's a weird name. That's a stupid name. Because that was probably just him reading the script.
Yeah.
Um, I think the hardest part is the fact that Indiana Jones is so old in this movie. And yes, Indiana Jones movies have never been that realistic per se. Clearly, I mean,
Yeah.
but there's always the believability of like Indiana Jones in the first 3 movies is kind of just like a 30, 40-year-old man who's tough
Yeah.
and can throw and but then he's just 60 in this movie. He's old, and it's really tough to see him like he fights the muscle when all the ants are around, and he's getting like horribly beat up, and like one punch should have like broken his. It borders on like even like the realistic Indiana Jones movies. I think that was my biggest problem. Are just they're too absurd in this movie, and I'm not talking about Nuke the Fridge. I'm not talking about the aliens. I'm not talking about Swing with the Monkeys. Like this, it's tough. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about this movie?
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I asked you to defend the movie, and then all you did was complain about it.
Well, I can defend the movie. It's fun.
So do it. That's what that's the whole point. Is that you have an unpopular opinion on the movie?
It's legitimately fun. It's legitimately exciting. I think there's an actual like solid character moments, and not character moments, but character kind of relationships between Indiana Jones and Mutt, and Indiana Jones and Marion. Can't remember. Marion. I think they're legitimately solid moments. I like the villains. I think there's that one guy who triple crosses, who he double crosses in Indy, and then triple crosses him again. He's like, I just like money, and he leaves, and you're like, okay. I think that it's very reminiscent of the old Indiana Jones movies, where the adventure is kind of its own character in itself. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun movie, and I think they're also, yes, they're over the top set pieces, but I also think like they're also really solid. I think the chase is cool. I think that one chase to the forest then leads to the ants. I think the ants are some of the coolest freaking parts. I think it's just terrifying. That scared me so much when I was younger. But I don't know. I think there's like legitimately solid elements of this movie.
I think the thing that holds it back for me is that the original 3 have have a lot of practical effects
Yeah.
in them, like especially with the action scenes, which makes them impressive. Whereas
Yeah.
in this movie, like with like the Chase of the Forest, it looks like you're playing a video game, and
Yeah.
a really bad video game too. Because
Yeah.
like I don't know, it just looks so unrealistic, and all the lighting is so off. And Indiana Jones is a billion years old, and Mutt is what's it called?
Swinging through
Swinging through the forest
well,
with the monkeys.
that scene is legitimately 15 seconds long.
But it's
Not even
15. What it's in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. I mean, if you think about the practical effects, think of the tank. And I think of the first truck chase in Raiders.
The whole Temple of Doom like set.
Yeah, it's practical.
In the end is really well done.
On the
yeah,
bridge.
it just feels like it just feels like a Disneyfied version of like it feels like all like the filmmaking passion is just kind of like absent from the movie because it just feels like it was made on a green screen, which is a lot of the problems like that we have with Marvel movies nowadays and Star Wars movies nowadays, so it just doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
I
have no idea what I'm so baffled by Spielberg's insistence on making a fifth movie. Harrison Ford is just 80 now.
He's too old.
He's too old. Let him go. Freaking, I am completely okay. I have no emotional attachment to Indiana Jones. He's not that super interesting of a character.
No.
Recast him. I don't care.
Chris Pratt. He's
Chris Pratt.
He's like 40 years old. Yeah. You have him for 30 years.
Yeah. You could do whatever. No, Chris Pratt, like, it's hard to capture that Harrison Ford. There's like, I don't often like laugh out loud in movies, non-comedy movies, but there are scenes in Last Crusade where I was laughing. Well, like him and Sean Connery have excellent chemistry together, like comedic chemistry. It's fascinating. No, it's hard to capture that charm of Harrison Ford. Chris Pratt's pretty charming.
No, he's good.
He's good. I don't know.
Star-Lord.
Yeah. Even if you want to freaking cast the dude who played Han Solo. I mean, it's like that kid who played Han Solo is pretty solid. Who cares?
Oh, yeah. What's his name?
Aiden Aldenreich or whatever.
Yeah, he hasn't been in a movie since Solo. And he's not bad in Solo.
No, he's not. He's solid Solo. That's the word for, like, just say, screw it. You're young Harrison Ford now forever.
Yeah, that's just who you are.
That's just who you are. You did a great job.
You're going to be in The Fugitive and all those movies. Hollywood Homicide, too. You're going to be
Did you know there was a Harrison Ford movie called The Witness? I've never heard about this. Where he's he plays a detective and an Amish couple witnesses a murder. So
yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime, and I've never heard of this movie. And I looked at it. It has phenomenal reviews.
I've seen some of it, and it's funny.
Is it funny? I'm going to watch. I think that might be another movie
I watched a couple scenes, and it was funny, yeah.
I saw like one clip, and it was Harrison Ford and Amish where his shirt's like half buttoned down. And I was like, that's what I'm here for. So instead of watching that, I watched Escape from New York because Escape from New York it's in an hour and 32 minutes, and I went, yes. I was like, yeah.
then you watch and you think it's 3 hours long.
All right, do you want to talk about Escape from New York now?
Yes, let's do that. But first, I have to step away from our sponsors while I get my dog some water because he's barking again.
And we will be right back. And thanks for our word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
We're back.
This podcast is brought to you by water, which Berkman fully recommends right now.
It's brought to you by Matt's 16-year-old dog who's blind. Is he almost blind?
He's blind and deaf.
He's blind and deaf.
He's basically blind and he's mostly deaf, except he can hear when you like slightly open the refrigerator a little bit. He'll like shoot up.
What? God damn it.
The kitchen. Yeah.
All right, Escape from New York. It's really boring, but it's really it's a solid movie, I think. And
it has a great atmosphere and lighting. Like everything, like all the filmmaking aspects of this movie are great.
Yeah.
Just so slow.
I think my favorite part of the movie, and I know Red Letter Media did a review of it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but my favorite part of the movie, I don't know if they mention it. They probably do because we're very big fans of them, clearly. But I think my favorite part of the movie is after Snake Plissken, he's like, oh, the heartbeat tracker on the president's on just some homeless dude, and he just doesn't know what to do, so he just sits in a chair. It just and he just kind of sits for like a minute, and he's just in there. I'm like, this is great. I have not laughed at that. I'm pointing that out, but he just sits and he like fixes with his hair. He just kind of sighs, and you're like, this is awesome. You're like, I'm a fan of this. And then the people start clicking, and like the crazies come out, and you're like, oh, okay.
I also like it when he meets like that girl in the abandoned shop, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be the love interest. Yeah. And she dies immediately.
Yeah, he just shoots her. I was like, nice. Yeah. No, that movie is there's like. You can really tell because first off, great opening credits. I looked at the time. The opening credits are 3 minutes and 45 seconds long before someone says dialogue.
Wow,
And
really?
it's just great music. The music, by the way, is really good because it's good music. But it's kind of back in that trend where it's that 80s synth music.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like it when I was listening to it, I'm like, this is just Blade Runner music. I'm like, that's kind of awesome. I was a big fan of it. I was a big fan of the atmosphere of it. The set's great, but like, it really speaks. Spoilers for Escape from New York. It really speaks to the movie when the big bad guy, the Duke, is just like Snake Plissken punches him like 4 times, and then he gets up and climbs the rope, and then the president just murders him with a machine gun, and that's the end of the movie. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
great, like there goes the big bad guy. Or when Brain is like, you had to go right, and then steps on a mine and blows up.
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, there goes the Brain. I don't know. It's weird.
There's a lot of good, but like all like the middle is just like I can't remember anything that happens in the middle of the movie.
In
He
the
like
mid,
meets some people and
he meets some people. He then gets shot with an arrow.
yeah.
He finds the president and then gets taken capture and has to fight in a ring. And then he beats the guy, and everyone's like, Snake, Snake, Snake.
Yeah.
And then he goes and the Brain steals the president, and then a lot of people die. The taxi guy dies. It's weird. Like it's like you can tell the movie's gonna be weird on action when the first action encounter, Snake punches the guy once and then kicks the guy, and they both they just drop,
Yep.
and you're like, oh, and it's quick. It's like toof toof, and you're like, oh, okay, interesting. Kurt Russell's just like so just like it's like, why do I give a fuck? It's like I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck.
Kurt Russell's great. Kurt Russell's such a great actor.
But it's such a weird movie because it's really like, but is it boring because we've grown up with these like nonstop action movies, or is it boring because nothing really happens in it?
It's boring because nothing really happens in it.
Yeah.
Like I like drama movies perfectly fine. You know?
Yeah. What's the most exciting part of the movie? There's this great
The ending where like he's like running out of time, I guess, on his neck. But by then I didn't really care about the characters. So,
Yeah.
like I didn't really feel anything.
I think one of my favorite parts. There's 2 parts. One, there's a really great practical shot where Snake shoots a hole in the wall and then just jumps through
Yeah, yeah.
and just crashes, and you're like, that was really solid. That poor stuntman just had to crash through a wall.
Yeah.
But there's also like when they're going through like Broadway and everyone just like it's swarming of people, and you would expect that scene to be like intense and then building up and people are building, but people are like chucking bricks at the taxi,
Yeah.
and then Snake and all of them are just like they're just kind of driving, and they're like ooh, they're like, oh, don't throw that brick, and then a guy jumps on and then just falls off, and then they get to the end and they're like, hold on, we have to back up, and they back up, and like it's movies you would expect to be really intense, like really intense scenes, are just kind of like he's very like relaxed and control. Snake Plissken sits in this movie like 8 times.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what to do. You're like, you're gonna die, man.
I think like on paper it probably works a lot better than
Yeah.
it did actually seeing it. Like it's like it is funny and it's definitely a unique movie, which is probably why it's, you know, still talking about today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not like wasn't this the strongest movie for me. It just seemed like it had a lot of like dull moments that seemed unnecessary.
Yeah.
It could have been spiced up.
Have you seen Tremors?
Yes.
You have. Did you like Tremors?
I love Tremors. I've seen it a couple times.
Tremors is so great.
Yeah.
Tremors is that's another movie I watched with Kevin Bacon. He's also not the lead of the movie. It's so simple and it's so great, and it's just like I really like the idea of the worms getting smarter and smarter, because then you have to constantly think of new ways for the characters to beat them. It's such a great simple movie. It's like an hour and a half long,
and it's smart. Like they use clever ways of killing the monsters, killing the worms. I like it when the worms break into that couple's house where they have all the guns and then like they're shooting the worm, and then like the camera's so brilliant because then it cuts to like all the guns on the wall and these worms and they just keep shooting at
keep grabbing
so
one gun.
Yeah, like, that was so funny.
But that's one of the scenes like that would be butchered by modern day kind of filmmaking, because it's like, what do we do? It's like, I know what we do, and then go a hard like one of those like fast cuts.
Yeah.
But instead, like, the camera just moves back, and they just fire. They're out of ammo, and the camera just moves back, and they just turn around and grab more guns. It's great. It's really funny.
Because like it's funny because they know the guns are there, but we
Yeah.
don't as an audience know. So
Yeah.
like it's normal for them because they've had like got those guns there like all the time.
Yeah.
But like yeah, in a modern movie they make like some sort of stupid quip because they
Yeah.
can't just have like a dry humorous scene.
Yeah.
They'd be like yeah, they just say something stupid like I don't
Well,
know.
it's like everything's so nonchalant. Like, and then he goes like they have all the guns, and then he busts open an even bigger gun, the elephant gun.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just so nonchalant, like shoot, do it, boom, and then shoots it, and he's like, "We killed it." It's perfect. Tremors
Yeah.
is so great. Yeah, Tremors is great. And then I watched Patriot Games.
Which I know nothing about, which I discovered.
Which
on
Matt
this
asked me.
podcast.
I'm gonna throw you. Matt asked me, "Is like, what'd you say? Is that the one where he goes, get off my plane?" Oh, and he's like, "Is that the one with Tommy Lee Jones?" No. Patriot Games is really, really interesting because it falls into that Escape from New York where the action's not really that intense. Even like the final action scene with spoilers, Sean Bean's in it and he fights Harrison Ford on a speeding boat in the rain. It's filmed terribly. It's not like a well shot thing, and it's not really that exciting. But the most exciting part is the movie is like an hour and a half in where Jack Ryan, it becomes like a very like political and like analytical movie, and they have to like find out where the base is of these bad guys and just keep like find out that, and like that's really engaging. And then Sean Bean okay, so I'm gonna spoil Patriot Games slightly. The movie starts off with Sean Bean and his it's about movie about the IRA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got
Sean Bean.
Yeah, well, Sean Bean's British, but I'm
Yeah.
sure he's playing an Irish guy.
Oh, he absolutely
in the
is.
movie,
But
yeah.
they go to kill a British kind of royalty, and then Harrison Ford sees it and stops it and kills Sean Bean's younger brother, and
Yeah.
then Sean Bean's just on a warpath to get Harrison Ford, and it's really, really, it's like I really want to watch Clear and Present Danger now, the other Harrison Ford Jack Ryan movie, but it's like it's one of those movies that's kind of like The Foreigner with Jackie Chan and
Yeah.
Pierce
Pierce
Brosnan,
Brosnan.
which isn't where the action isn't the center of the movie. It's kind of more of like the political aspect of it, and the political aspect of it is done really well.
Yeah.
I was definitely a fan.
Would you say Patriots Game is better than Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit?
Forgot about that movie. Is that movie on Amazon? I know what I want to make us watch next week. In 2 weeks from now, we're gonna rewatch
Ryan.
Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit.
That movie's great.
Is it? Did we see that in theaters? It came out in 2014.
No, I saw that on FX, I think.
I think I saw that. I saw that in theaters.
I saw it on TV. But I've seen it a couple times, but first time I saw it was on TV. It's a good movie.
The only scene I remember of is Chris Pine goes, "I'm an analyst," and there's a scene where he jumps from a motorcycle into a truck, and the motorcycle falls from behind.
There's some good. No, that movie's good.
The movie's good. It's on Amazon Prime. I might rewatch it. I typed in like Jack Ryan, and that came up, and I was like, oh, oh my god.
I've seen it a couple times. It's directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh.
Yeah, who also directed Thor, the first Thor movie. But he does a lot of in the 90s. He did a lot of Shakespeare movie adaptations where he played the lead.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
He's like, I'm gonna be Henry V. Which I watched for my Shakespeare class, and they're pretty good. Like I think he's a pretty good filmmaker.
He made Murder on the Orient Express, which I'm still curious about because that movie got pretty solid reviews.
Yeah.
But that was based on the movie. I definitely went on like a weird trend of movies this week. It was interesting to see. I know I kept just watching. It was like I saw Tremors, and I was like, I'm gonna watch Tremors. I'm like, I've never seen it, and I guess it's just a perfectly solid like hour and a half. Yeah. And that's it. I know there's
a nice end, it's a kind of a nice movie. Like it's intense, but it's very whimsical as well. It's very,
I'm gonna ignore all the sequels, but I'm just pretending it's Tremors. That's it. It's just, and then it's great. Escape from New York. I know they made Escape from LA, which apparently is terrible.
Yeah, I've heard it's terrible. I haven't seen it.
But it's nice to just pretend like they don't explain how New York came. Like they just go, "Hey, crime has risen 400%." They don't explain a lot of it. It's just Snake Plissken goes in. The world is kind of cool. They just kind of explain the hierarchy of New York, and then that's it. And then Snake Plissken's in, and then that's the movie, and it's great. Even freaking Last Crusade's great. They're like, "Hey, we got to get the Holy Grail. Hey, look at this relationship. It's great." I miss really simple movies like this, where it's
that are also clever in their set design and set pieces and things. It's not just a CGI fest. It's so sad, like when you compare to Steven Spielberg in the 80s to Steven Spielberg now with that terrible what's the movie called? Ready Player One, and the last fight scene in that is just this gray whatever gray video game effect. I don't even know what that scene was. I couldn't even watch it. It was so bad.
That's why I think we love Knives Out. And
Knives Out. Yeah, it was
I
so
know they're
refreshing.
making more spin-off movies with Daniel
No,
Craig.
he's not even Anna de Armas is the best part of that movie.
Yeah. But it's so nice how that's just a movie and it ends and you never have to see anything else from it. And it's so
Yeah.
self-contained. It doesn't lead into any. It's so refreshing. That's the more I think about it, the more it might be one of my favorite movies of last year.
Honestly, yeah, it's definitely on my top 10 list of 2019.
Yeah.
What's gonna be on our top 2020 list?
Oh god. For me right now, my best movie of 2020 from what I've seen is probably like Bad Boys for Life.
I don't think I've seen a 20 like. Have I even seen a 2020 movie?
A lot of the movies are coming under indie. I'm really
Rambo. I guess Rambo.
No, that was
Part
2019.
4. What? That was 20.
Yeah. There's
Lighthouse was 2019.
I know what movie I'm gonna if it's really good, I'm probably gonna really like King of Staten Island.
Yeah.
Did you watch the trailer for that or no?
No.
No.
Oh, I guess David Fincher has a Netflix movie coming out later this year.
Does he?
Yeah, called Mank. I just found out today.
Oh.
It's about
Okay.
like the guy who wrote the screenplay for Citizen Kane, I think.
Oh, okay, so that'll be great.
So yeah, it's on Netflix too. So and then the Spike Lee movie's coming out, which looks pretty interesting, called The Boom or something. I just watched earlier today. Chadwick Boseman actually has like a character in this movie.
He has a character for once. He's not Black Panther.
Well, he's pretty good in Civil War, but in
Yeah.
the Black Panther movie, he has no character. But like he's actually emoting in this movie. He looks like he's gonna be pretty good.
I know
So
your
I'm
favorite
excited.
movie of 2020.
What?
Extraction.
What?
Extraction's your favorite movie of 2020.
Oh yeah, that's the one 2020 movie I've seen. It technically is.
It's like great. Go Extraction. All right. I mean, that's a pretty solid. I mean, we talked about what we watched.
Wait a second.
Wait.
I haven't talked about my wrestling documentary series yet.
Oh my god. All right.
You've been talking. How long is this podcast so far?
We're only about 35, 40 minutes
Okay,
in.
well, I'm watching because we're doing what we've been watching.
Yep.
And Tyler talked for 40 minutes about 80s movies. Now it's time for me to talk about wrestling.
Yeah. Go wrestling.
So Vice is doing season 2. So Vice is doing like a special called Dark Side of the Ring, which is like 6 episodes covering different aspects of wrestling in like the 90s, like like the darker side of wrestling in the 90s.
Yeah.
Are you there? Yeah. Okay, you're moving. So don't log out on me. I'm talking about wrestling.
I'm like, oh, we gotta go, guys.
They did a season 1 last year, which is really good, and season 2 this year starts off with the Chris Benoit murder suicide.
Oh wow, really?
And
Okay.
the deeper look into like head trauma and head injuries and concussions and how like that whole thing affected the wrestling business, almost killed the wrestling business, and then started because of what happened because of what happened with that, they started doing more concussion protocol stuff and ended up making wrestling a lot safer.
Yep.
Of course, like a horrible tragedy had to happen because of it.
Yep.
But I think this episode in particular doesn't do anything specifically, doesn't have any new breakthroughs on like the murders or anything, but I think it does a good job of summarizing everything that happened, summarizing like the relationship between Chris Benoit and his family before everything happened, and then showing the impact of what happens after. And then some of the other episodes I'll just touch on briefly. There's an episode I just watched about the Road Warriors, who were a tag team in the 90s. And one guy liked to party a lot, and one guy didn't like to party. And it's about like their butting heads and how they almost became really famous in WWE. But the guy liked to party, couldn't get his crap together. But I want to just go into one specific one, kind of in depth, because it's really funny. It's like It's dark, but it's funny.
Go
It's like
for
the series does a good job of balancing like really dark stuff and also some kind of just kind of addressing the absurdity of wrestling. Because wrestling is the only thing that is both 100% real and 100% fake at the same time. Like it's just crazy. Like there's no reality in wrestling because it's all fake, but yet it's all real because there's like the real life. I need to make money off my character, but then the ego of no, my character shouldn't be losing to this guy. It's like what? Like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So like they in the episode 3, I think covers the 1995 Brawl for All in WWE, which was pitched by Vince Russo, who was a writer for wrestling at the time. He's sort of known for creating the Stone Cold Steve Austin character, who is the most famous wrestling character of all time, and he pitched this idea because this wrestler named Bradshaw, who you might know as JBL, was in the
Yep.
locker room one day saying like, I could beat everyone up in this locker room in a legit fight. So he's like, and it really bothered Vince Russo, so he made this tournament where 8 wrestlers legitimately fight each other, and the winner of these legit fights will then get like a main event push against Stone Cold for the world title.
Jeez.
So they get like these 8 guys who are kind of like in the mid card, kind of like not really doing anything that important. Say like Bradshaw, Hardcore Holly, and then some other guys. And then there's this one guy whose name is Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and the producers like Vince McMahon, backstage guys were like, they really like this guy, and like they were like, we're gonna have him win this brawl for all, and then give him a big main event push, and he'll be money. The only problem is that this is legit fighting, so they can't really fix it. And so there's this one guy named Bart Gunn who's like this no-name wrestler, and he beats the crap out of his tag team partner in the first round. Then he goes up against Dr. Death in the second round, and he's like, hey, he goes to Vince, he goes, hey, I will throw this fight if you want me to. And then they're like, no, Dr. Death's going to win anyways. No, it's fine, whatever. So they fight, and then Bart Gunn beats the crap out of him.
Oh,
and just ruined, like, it just embarrasses Dr. Death, Steve Williams, like, on live, because this is all live TV, too.
Is this actually, like, fist fighting?
This is legit fist fighting. But, like, the problem is that none of these guys are real fist fighters, so people are getting legitimately injured, like tearing ligaments in their legs, getting knocked out, getting concussed, and they have to. It's like a lot of the guys who participated, like were on the shelf for months afterwards. And this one guy who no one thought could fight, his name was Bart Gunn, is just destroying everyone he's going up against. And he just kills Steve Williams so badly, like he gets embarrassed out there that they just do nothing with him afterwards. So he goes backstage, everyone's pissed. They're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, I gave you the option to throw the fight, but you told me to fight for real. So then eventually Bart Gunn makes it to the finals against Bradshaw, and then he beats the crap out of Bradshaw. He wins brawl for all. But then no one knows what to do with him after, because he doesn't really have a character, and he was kind of a nobody up until this point.
Yeah.
And so he just goes home for like months and just stays at home because they're like, we don't have anything for you. And then at WrestleMania, they decide to have him fight Butterbean, who was a legitimate boxer and then like a legitimately like famous boxer in the 90s. Fight him at WrestleMania. And then so Butterbean just murders him at WrestleMania.
Oh no!
And just destroys Bart Gunn's push. So like all these guys get concussed, get legs, get like all these horrible injuries happen to them just for this guy to win, have WWE do nothing with him, and then have him get the crap beaten out of him at WrestleMania by a legit boxer. So this thing literally accomplished nothing, and it just injured a ton of wrestlers.
You're having the time of your life watching this, weren't you?
It was amazing because it's just fascinating that like this all started because the writer was mad at Bradshaw for saying that he could beat up everyone in a fight, and he got what he wanted because Bradshaw got the crap beaten out of him in the finals. But like it's just hilarious, and like at the end, the writer Vince Russo they're interviewing, he's like, yeah, that was probably like not a good idea.
That was probably like maybe not the. What's the name of the show again?
Dark Side of the Ring.
Where can you watch it?
YouTube.
On YouTube, okay.
Yeah. And like again, if you like, you don't have to be a wrestling fan to like it. It's just fascinating stories. Like if you like true crime stuff, there's a ton of crime. Like a lot. I know a lot of like those murder mystery stuff are popular, but it's just such a fascinating dive into this world that doesn't make any sense, which is wrestling. And like you like they're like that's kind of Brawl for All is kind of one of the more like absurd stories, like kind of funny absurd kind of stories.
Yeah.
But like they get really dark too. Like the Chris Benoit stuff's really dark. There's this one wrestler who wrestled for ECW. His name was New Jack, and he kind of got famous in like Georgia he was an African American guy, and he would basically cut promos because this was in the 90s where he would say like, oh yeah, he would say like, oh OJ, he would be like a supporter of OJ Simpson. He's like, keep fighting the good fight and keep killing those white people.
Oh
and,
no!
Like, he got so much like people hated him because there's very racist climate there in Georgia in the 90s, so people like hated him, and he got so huge. And then like he went to ECW, which is like known for like hardcore wrestling.
Yeah.
And like one time like a wrestler dropped him on his head and he got concussed and he go to the hospital, and he got so mad the wrestler didn't call him or like check on him for years. They wrestled again years later in like a scaffolding match, and New Jack brought out a taser, tased the guy so he couldn't move, and then threw him off the scaffolding. And he says in the interview he wanted to kill him, but like the guy landed on the mat and like somehow only broke like an ankle, but like it was a death that it was a fall that could have killed him.
Jesus.
This guy's crazy. And then all right, one more slight story. So New Jack, the guy I was talking about, was doing ton of hardcore stuff in the 2000s, but hardcore wrestling is starting to kind of like fall. Like no one was really into it as much in the 2000s. So like some guy was like the interviewer was asking him saying like, do you have any regrets? Like, because you've legit injured tons of people in the ring because of like he snorted cocaine before he'd go out into the ring.
Oh, of course.
When he was
the
younger,
real
like
energizer there.
he watched like when he was younger, he watched like his dad shoot his mom or something. She survived, but like he had a horrible upbringing, and he's like yeah, I have one regret, and like he wrestled this 7-year-old guy who was like famous for like no selling moves. So like even if you punch him, you just wouldn't sell it. Like that's he was like supposed to be like indestructible.
Yeah.
And like I guess before the match, he was saying like he's like oh, I can teach you a few things, kid. And like I guess New Jack took it as like offense, like, well, I've been wrestling for like 20 years. Like, what are you gonna tell me? So then they went out into the ring, and like there's clips of this on the documentary, and like so he's like punching him, and like the guy's no selling because that's his gimmick. And so New Jack takes a bat and just literally clocks him over the head, and like you see like the vibration in his head, like it's legit. And the guy just no sells it, but he's like delirious, and like New Jack just beats the crap out of him. And then New Jack is like yeah, like that's probably like my one like big regret is that I literally just beat the crap out of this guy. And also he like stabs someone in the ring. Like he's man, you gotta watch. But like the guy's so charismatic. He's like a Tarantino character. He's so charismatic that like he's describing these terrible things. Like he's like some 16-year-old kid he wrestled wanted him to like blade him. Yeah. Which is like when you put like the blade across your head and it bleeds. Yeah. Usually the wrestler does it on his own, but like he asked New Jack to do it for him, and like New Jack bladed him so hard that he like became depressed and later died because of it.
Oh my god!
16-year-old kid. This happened in Massachusetts as well, which is crazy. Like he does all these terrible things, but he's so like passionate and so charismatic that like it's just like this fast like screw Tiger King. That stuff is crap. You gotta watch the New Jack episode of Vice. It's fascinating. It's amazing. It's crazy. It's terrible. Like I feel terrible talking about these things, but like he's just so like I can't even describe it. He's just crazy.
Do you ever? It's amazing because we're not going to show the camera version of this because I don't know how to edit. We're both on here at the same time. I'm just lazy. But I can see Matt's talking about this and his eyes are just lighting up. He's so entertained. He's so enjoyed by this. Yeah,
it's
Dark
just,
Side
like,
of the Ring
awful.
on Vice.
I recognize how awful it is, but like just at the same time, it's just absurd. Like wrestling, you need to be really coordinated and safe, or you can get a concussion, or you can get like your spine broken and be paralyzed for life. And this guy is snorting cocaine and stabbing people in the ring. And it's amazing he like didn't actually kill anyone.
What an amazing life! He just snorts cocaine. He's like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And you see him today, and his like head is all like these scars because like he does blade jobs, and you can just tell like he just did some really deep cuts, and like it's terrible.
All right, out of all the things you watch, what's your one recommendation?
The New Jack episode of Vice.
All right, I think
Dark Side of the Ring.
I think my recommendation has to be Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Go back and give it another shot. You might not hate it.
That's Tyler's seal of approval.
That's my seal of approval. Well, Matt, okay, so new idea we're going to do because there's still not a lot of movies out that we can talk about. So basically, Matt was so confused by my explanation because he's not smart, and my explanation was perfect.
So you did a terrible job at describing it.
So basically, this week, Matt's going to recommend a movie. I don't know what he's going to recommend, or I have an idea. And then next episode, we're going to watch it and talk about it, and that will be that, and we'll talk about what else we've watched that week. And then I'll go the next time, and then Matt will go, and it'll at least give us something new to talk about. We'll try to do movies that we're not like super like I imagine you're probably going to talk about a movie you've already seen. I might try to do one that maybe we both haven't. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So Matt, what's your recommendation for next week? What are we going to talk about?
Oh man, I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time, Tyler.
Okay.
So Tyler has recently indulged in South Korean cinema.
Okay.
And he has yet to see the greatest South Korean movie of all time, which should have won an Oscar in 2016. That is Park Chan-wook's The Handmaiden.
All right. Next week.
Amazon Prime. He watched like 7 hours of movies this weekend.
None of it was The Handmaiden.
He can fit in a 2.5 hour long movie this week. I'm sure he can do it. And we'll discuss it next week. We'll see. It's my second favorite movie of the last decade, only beaten by Mad Max Fury Road. So we'll see how Tyler feels about it. I'm very interested. I finally that's the whole point of doing this podcast.
Was to get someone to watch The Handmaiden so you can talk about it.
Yes.
All right. So next week for next episode, we will watch The Handmaiden. I will watch The Handmaid. You will watch it for what, the third time?
Fourth. I've seen it 3 times. Yeah.
Okay, you'll watch it for the fourth time. You don't have to since you've already seen it, but I will watch it. And we will talk to you about it. We'll try to discuss it. And then we'll also talk about what else we watched that week, because there'll probably be one or two other things. Oh yeah, one more thing. What are you reading this week? We could throw in there. Are you reading anything good?
I'm reading Death and wait. There's a book over there. I can't think of what it's called.
Is it
Wait,
the
one
Yorgos? Is
second.
it the book that the Yorgos Lanthimos movie is going to be on?
No, I finished that book. I'm reading. I think it's called Death in El Veneto, which is just like a detective novel taking place in Venice, Italy. It's
Huh.
good.
All right. I'm reading this week. So if you're a fan of 80s basketball, I'm reading When the Game Was Ours by Jackie McMullen. It basically just talks about the rivalry between Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. It's really interesting. It's actually really engaging.
Have you seen the ESPN documentary on it?
I have not, no, but I should, because
It's really good.
this book's really well done. I'm about halfway through it so far. It's
Yeah.
great. So if you're into basketball and 80s basketball, check it out. But yeah, so that's basically been our second episode. Matt, any final thoughts?
I'm excited for next week.
Oh, so am I. Oh God. All right. Thank you guys for watching or listening.
Bye.
Bye.